Thanks for tuning in to the Women's Vibrancy Code, a podcast dedicated to helping women move from exhausted to energized, balance their hormones, and feeling turned on by their life, their lover, and themselves. I'm your host, Maraya Brown. I'm a Yale and functional medicine trained women's health expert, midwife, mom, keynote speaker, and self-made entrepreneur. I'm the founder of my signature program, the Women's Vibrancy Code. So sit back, relax, and let's chat about your energy, hormones, libido, and embracing your feminine power. Oh, and you might want to have pen and paper to take some notes on some of these episodes. Welcome back to the Women's Vibrancy Code podcast. This is part 2, talking about sleep. So if you missed the first one, I talked all about sleep and why it's important. Okay. So if you missed that, go back to the last solo episode in the Women's Vibrancy Code. I really encourage that you watch it. If you're in Facebook, wherever you are watching, just scroll back through, you'll see it. I talked a lot about, of course, the stuff that we're accustomed to, right? You feel tired, some brain fog, a little bit toxic, a little bit more irritable. Like, of course we know that. Of course we want to get better sleep. But I went into even more of a deep dive in all the ways that a lack of sleep can really negatively impact us. Okay, so for this episode, I want to get into some specifics around what we do to get better sleep. Okay, so first, what are the things that I hear? For those of you that don't know who I am, like I said, I'm Maraya Brown. I'm a women's health expert. So I've been a midwife attending births since 2000. And then I finished my nurse practitioner training as a certified nurse midwife back in 2007. And I've been running the women's health in federally funded clinics and private practices in Hawaii and Oregon. And I've also studied in women's health and with midwives. And I've done international health projects in West Africa, Central America, and Haiti since then. I'm also a mom of 3 kids, 10 and younger, and a wife. And I am a founder and I run my own business. Life is full. I'm also 45. And in the early stages, I'm definitely noticing some nuances of perimenopause. Okay, so people go, what's perimenopause? Generally that age 35 to 55 until you go into menopause. And one of the things in this chapter of a woman's life is changes in sleep. And specifically what I hear is either women have a harder time going to sleep, they have a hard time staying asleep. There's the most common thing that I hear is that 2 to 4 a.m. range, waking up just feeling like your body's exhausted, but your mind is buzzing. And so if you are experiencing any of that, I definitely want you to listen in. And then there's also the woman who is like, I think I'm getting sleep. But no matter what I do, I wake up in the morning, I don't feel rested. I still feel groggy, and I don't feel like I can wake up throughout the whole day. So whichever of those buckets you fit into, I really want you to listen up. I'm going to go over a lot of solutions. Okay. That does not mean that I'm suggesting you do every single one. Okay. So I've got about 9 different things that you could try. I want you to grab pen and paper. This is definitely one you're going to take notes. One of the things that I notice is the women that come into my space are ambitious women. They're predominantly entrepreneurs, CEOs, founders. They are wanting to really do something big in their life. Others are maybe not working, but they're stay-at-home moms and they volunteer a lot. They want to have a big ripple effect. They have big vision and they want to feel spectacular. And one of the things I notice with the women that come into my space is they're note takers. So if you're one listening and you have the capacity, you're not driving, you're not multitasking, and you look at yourself, are you actually getting ready to take notes? Because I see you. That's my kind of person. I love to learn. One of the reasons why I went to Yale and I've trained through the Institute of Functional Medicine, and I really honor science and education, as well as mindset and woo-woo. Listen, there's a reason why prayer and energy works. Okay, so let's get into some solutions. Number 1 is keep your blood sugar stable. Number 2 is keep caffeine to a minimum. Number 3, eat GABA-rich foods at night. Number 4, keep alcohol to a minimum. I'm going to go into each of these in detail, okay? 5 is around dinner time and what to eat around the dinner time and the timing. 6 is more around nutrition, really getting ample plants in your body. Okay. I'll talk about melatonin. I'll talk a little bit about aromatherapy. some other supplements. And then obviously, anybody who knows me, we're not going to finish this up without talking about the hormones that are impacting sleep and what you can do to really address those hormones. Okay. So like I said, first is keep your blood sugars steady. If you are one of those women who is waking often throughout the night, not sleeping well, and having that 2 to 4 a.m. wake up, one of the big things that it makes me think is, did you keep your blood sugars steady for the day leading up? Okay. So what does that look like? It means getting something in your body within 30 to 60 minutes of waking that has protein, fat, and fiber. Okay. Doesn't mean it has to come from meat source, though I'm not opposed to meat, but really, truly, you're getting something in early on that ideally has some plant fiber in it. For me, the thing I do first thing is I wake up, I have a tall glass of water, and then within an hour of waking, I make myself an adaptogen elixir. Okay. If you haven't yet grabbed my free adaptogen elixir recipes, I really encourage you to do that because you've got the adaptogen. I'm going to talk more about that when I get into the adrenal piece at the end, but you have your adaptogen, you have your protein source, and you have your fat source. So now right away, you're giving the body some great resource to help you wake up and get blood sugar stable throughout the day. Okay. Then in an ideal world, you're never going more than 2 to 3 hours throughout the day without, once again, fiber coming predominantly from plants, some protein, and some fat. Okay. That means not huge amounts of time during your waking hours without eating. That means really watching your sugar intake, your refined carbohydrates. People in my space aren't generally fast food eaters, but like, let's just call a spade a spade, cut the fast food out. You often hear me say more plants, more better. And, if you sit down to eat, can you say, all right, half my plate is coming from fruits, vegetables, and berries, nuts, seeds, sprouts, grains. And at least there's 3 colors. Okay. One thing that's just kind of simple is if let's say you're in the grocery store and you're trying to decide a cereal or a granola or a cracker, look at the nutrition facts and take total carbohydrates divided by total fiber and just do a quick equation. The lower the number, the better. Okay. We want that fiber to balance out the carbohydrate. Okay. Think about the difference between eating an apple versus drinking a cup of apple juice. When you add the fiber from the apple, it goes into the bloodstream much more slowly. Okay. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for something that helps keep the blood sugars steady. So if you're going to have some fruit, can you pair it with some nuts, some nut butters, some plain yogurt? Okay. Some seeds, some protein source. Okay. Okay. Moving on. Caffeine. Let's talk about caffeine. Okay. So here's the deal. For women that are listening and you're not sleeping, often you're tired. So then you're drinking the caffeine so that you can wake up. All right. The challenge is for many, possibly for most, the caffeine is part of the thing that's making it hard to sleep at night, even if you're drinking caffeine in the morning. Now, everybody's body reacts differently to caffeine. You might be one of those individuals that can drink caffeine all day and you don't think it's impacting your sleep. I would still like for you to try taking it out. Okay. Even if you're just drinking 1 cup a day, give it a try. If you're someone who is drinking all day, can you cut it down to 1 cup and just give it a try? Yes, those first 3 to 4 days, you might have the caffeine withdrawal headache, but especially if you tend towards kind of go, little bit high strung, little bit of anxiety in your world, I really encourage you to try to take out that caffeine. The thing to know is it's a stimulant and it's a psychoactive stimulant. Okay. And the timing of it is very significant. Okay. So the thing with caffeine is if you're like, no way, I'm not letting it go. I want you to know that it has about a 5 to 6 hour half-life. Okay. Which means 10 to 12 hours, quarter life, meaning it stays in your bloodstream a lot longer than you think. It continues to impact you even from that morning cup of coffee. And it puts into, it creates disruptive, non-restorative sleep. Okay. Like I said, everyone has a different response to caffeine and how the caffeine impacts their sleep. Part of that is genetic. There is a certain genetic predisposition to how we metabolize caffeine and how it affects us. If you listen to the first episode and I talked about adenosine, that sleep pressure, adenosine builds throughout the day, right? And helps us feel sleepy. Caffeine attaches to adenosine receptors and then hijacks the receptors and blocks them. So it actually prevents the signal of the adenosine. When you're actually sleepy, your brain's not picking up the signal. So it's actually reducing that sleep pressure and it mutes the adenosine. So it's fooling the brain into thinking you've only been awake for a little bit of time. And so then the brain doesn't get the sleepy message, yet the brain is sleepy and the body is sleepy. Okay. The challenge is it's not picking up the message, but the adenosine is actually building, even though the message is blocked. And so then once the caffeine is metabolized, the sleepiness becomes even more profound. Like imagine the pendulum just swinging really far to the other end. And so then the actual sleepiness plus the buildup of the adenosine doesn't get the message. Can you see how now we've got this really vicious loop? So now people have a caffeine crash and end up feeling like they need even more. Okay. Which is the scenario where people are like, I've got to drink caffeine all day long. Okay. And then the loop compromises the benefit of the sleep that you're actually getting. So then you go to sleep thinking that you're going to go now get deep sleep. But the reality is you're not actually getting the quality sleep that you think you are. And so then you're not getting the restorative sleep. So go back and listen to that last episode where I talk about the value of restorative sleep. And now we're putting it all back together. I want to say out loud that even decaf coffee still has caffeine in it. It's a small amount, maybe 5% of normal, sometimes as much as 30% of normal. So even if you're going to decaf, I would rather you drink an adaptogen elixir. And you can drink one that has a very kind of reminiscent bitter flavor, add some Dandy Blend in there. Now it's going to support your liver, right? And then if you think about energy drinks and supplements, even dessert, chocolate, some ice cream, there's still caffeine in all of those. Okay. Same with green tea, yerba mate. So the dose really does make a difference. And depending on how sensitive you are, for me, I can drink green tea in the morning or a matcha. It doesn't affect me as much. Yerba mate, it gets me moving. Coffee, there's no way. I know if I drink a cup of coffee, I'm not sleeping that night, particularly because I'm not a caffeine drinker. So I really encourage you just to give it a try. Like I said, make it through those first 4 days to make it through the caffeine withdrawal headache while you're taking it out. Hydrate well, add extra plants, specifically your purples and reds, your berries. Then hopefully you'll make it through and then you're going to go, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. And there's the sleep I've been longing for. Okay. Number 3, as I mentioned, GABA, G-A-B as in boy, A, GABA-rich foods. So GABA is an amino acid produced naturally in the brain. It's associated with things like increasing relaxation and calm, reducing stress, helping with balanced mood, alleviating pain, and boosting sleep. Okay. Along with GABA, just side note, valerian, hops, magnesium, L-theanine. These are all great supplements. Okay. And they are known to increase GABA. As well as simply taking a GABA supplement. And I'll also talk about GABA-rich foods. Anytime we're talking about micronutrients, additional vitamins, let's always go to, are there some foods that we can take, right? So like when I mentioned vitamin C and immune health, we're going to talk about strawberries and bell peppers and kiwis, right? Because let's first get it through food. Foods that are known to be high in GABA would be your cruciferous veggies, which is like your broccoli, your cauliflower, your Brussels sprouts, which ironically are also great to help the body detoxify estrogen, and they're great detoxifiers in general. So if you just think of, can you eat some broccoli, some cauliflower, some kale every night with dinner? Other GABA-rich foods would be cherry tomatoes, kefir. If you're going to drink kefir, hopefully it's cow dairy free. Shrimp, mushrooms, spinach, peas, sweet potatoes, and soybeans. If you're going to do soy, I'm fine with it as long as it's organic and non-GMO and your body tends to handle it well. And then we can also focus on foods that help the body increase the things that help us sleep. Okay. Other things would be bananas, almonds, and hazelnuts. Some toast, some like gluten-free toast with almond butter and a banana as a snack, but making sure it's within 2 to 4 hours of going to sleep. Yes, yes. Now, let me make sure you heard me say that. Within 2 to 4 hours of going to sleep. So one of the things I want you to hear is, yes, we're going to start out our day getting in some quality protein, fat, fiber. not skipping meals, watching sugar intake, getting ample protein, fat, fiber, and plants in throughout the day. And within 2 to 4 hours of going to sleep, we're stopping caloric intake. Okay. That way we have the opportunity for our gut to rest and digest, and for good blood, bad blood, for blood flow to go to the brain so that our brain can really have that restoration. Okay. The other thing while I'm talking about supplementation is adding in a good quality CBD. I love hemp pure. It's one of my favorites. It's hemp derived, grown organically out of Colorado. It's tested to be THC free. Plus, it's one of my best friends that owns the company, and she gives me and all my customers and friends a 20% discount. So I'll put all that in the show notes. And sometimes you can get like a CBD that's mixed with L-theanine. Sometimes you can even get supplements that are L-theanine mixed with magnesium, GABA, passion flower, lemon balm, and CBD. Now we're talking. Okay. Number 4, moving on to alcohol. Okay. I want you to know that often women will say, I drink in the evening to wind down, take the edge off, and it helps me sleep. Okay. Here's what I want you to hear. Sedation is not sleep. Okay. So if you're using alcohol, sleeping pills, sometimes even overdoing it on melatonin, it is creating sedation, and you might feel like a log, but you're not actually getting into REM sleep. You're not getting that deep restorative sleep. And so you wake up in the morning feeling more dehydrated because alcohol is dehydrating. Plus, you haven't actually had the restorative sleep, so you wake up feeling just as tired. Okay. So once again, a log does not mean great sleep. Plus, the alcohol is putting extra work on your liver while it's supposed to be busy restoring. Okay. And alcohol is directly impacting antidiuretic hormone and making you even more dehydrated. And the more dehydrated we are, the more toxic we'll feel, the more we'll experience fatigue and brain fog. Okay. So scientific studies show that 1 glass of alcohol before bed drastically reduces quality of sleep. Okay. It's a drug class known as a sedative. So it's sedation, not sleep. Okay. What belongs in the bedroom? Sleep and sex, not sedation, not screens. I'm going to talk more about that. But anybody who knows is in my space, often you hear me say that. And so just know that you might think it's helping you sleep, but it's actually harmful to your sleep. You might think that it's helping you fall asleep more quickly, but falling asleep quickly and being a log doesn't necessarily mean brain regeneration. So what they've found is that brainwave electrical activity when in sedation versus sleep is completely different. Okay. And alcohol is disrupting the sleep where even though you think you're a log, they're actually finding that you're waking often. And so it's what they call sleep fragmentation. Okay. So the quality of sleep is low. Your awakenings are so brief, you don't even remember them. But you're waking, not feeling restored or alert the next morning because you actually are waking more often. And it actually activates that fight, flight, or freeze reaction in the night, which is one of the reasons why sleep is so fragmented. And like I said, alcohol disrupts REM sleep specifically. Okay. So mental, emotional health is really impacted. If you're someone who's feeling more irritable, more cranky, having real mood instability throughout the day, if you're having a hard time remembering things or feeling kind of emotionally unstable, like remember when you listen to that first episode, we talk about deep sleep, where that's where we get to file away kind of the emotional learning and it all integrates. So now we're preventing that. Okay. And our creativity is affected. So often what happens is you're blunting your creativity. The other thing that they found with alcohol disruption in sleep is it creates an overall reduction in lifespan. So someone who has consistent disrupted REM sleep over time has a reduced lifespan and 30 to 50% memory recall reduction shown in studies. Okay. And remember, we can't get back lost REM sleep. It's like, there's no way to get it back. So, and then plus the dehydration, which I already mentioned. So I'm just saying you might want to reconsider that alcohol in the evening. Plus, from a hormonal standpoint, the alcohol is also spiking your estrogen. Okay. And so now you've got some hormonal roller coaster that you're also dealing with on top of everything that I've mentioned. So in the evening, my preference is that you're having a light dinner that's protein rich. Okay. And then you have a really clear evening routine, just like we do an evening bedtime routine for our children. The more you can create habits and patterns in your evening hours as you're winding down, okay, you're dimming the lights, you're playing some nice music, you're reading an actual paper book, you're getting off of the screens. It's 8 p.m. right now, and I'm in my pajamas recording this. I'm doing exactly what I'm telling you not to do. So this is not the thing to do. I'll likely go to sleep in the next 2 hours. So the sooner I can get off this screen, the better. And so there's a reason why bath time makes a difference for children. Okay. Can you incorporate, for many women, our facial routine? Maybe you're going to do some red light therapy and facial routine a couple hours before going to bed. Whatever it is for you, having a light dinner within 2 to 4 hours of going to bed, cutting off our eyes exposure to screens. That includes TV, phones, computers, ideally, and having that evening routine. If you think about, what was it? I interviewed Patricia Petralba in the podcast about sleep. That was fascinating. I love what she had to say about thinking about that evening routine as actually the start of your day. So if you think about how you wind down for sleep being the beginning of your 24-hour period, because that 8 to 9 hours of sleep literally sets you up for the rest of your day. So rather than seeing when we wake up as the beginning of our day, what if we actually look at our evening routine as the beginning of our day? I think you'll prioritize it very differently. Just want to say out loud, a plant-based diet. Yes, yes. That does not mean no meat. I'm actually a fan of lean meats, making sure that they're hormonal free, antibiotic free, steroid free. Yes, yes. But that doesn't mean every single meal. Okay. Can you get every color in your body every day? Can you try to do your best to make sure that the plants that you're eating are organic? All of those changes you're going to find will positively impact your sleep. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about melatonin. So many people have heard of 5-HTP. It's the tryptophan that's high in turkey. There's a reason why after Thanksgiving meal, we eat that turkey and then we get kind of tired. So 5-HTP turns into serotonin, which the body converts to melatonin through the pineal gland. Okay. So what's serotonin? Serotonin is produced in the gut. It is the hormone that makes us feel happy. It's the hormone that helps us feel connected in a community. Most antidepressants are selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. They're directly impacting that serotonin. Now, what I wanted you to hear is serotonin comes from the gut. Okay. Serotonin converts to melatonin in the pineal gland. So melatonin is what starts in the evening. It goes up as the lights go down. Our eyes aren't exposed to the light. Tells our pineal gland, go ahead and produce that or convert the melatonin, and melatonin helps us sleep. But keep in mind, you have to have a healthy gut microbiome in order to produce the melatonin. Okay. So I want you to hear healthy gut, healthy serotonin production. Okay. And then melatonin. And melatonin is going to produce when the lights go down. So if at night we're keeping these bright LED lights on, we're watching TV, we're reading on our Kindles, we're playing on our phone, it is really confusing to the brain. It's getting the wrong messaging through our eyes, through the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Hopefully, if you listen to the first part of this, you know what I'm talking about. And then light is also playing a role in the conversion of serotonin to melatonin. Okay. So what we're looking for with melatonin is turn down the lights at night. Put your blue light blockers on. Can you read a paper book? Can you actually talk on the phone? Connect with a loved one, right? Have conversations, journal, whatever it may be, particularly in the evening hours. Let's talk a little bit about aromatherapy. So when I say aromatherapy, I don't mean fragrance. I want to talk about endocrine disruptors. It kind of relates to sleep, but anytime we're talking about aromatherapy, I have to bring this up. If you're lighting candles that are like fragrance filled and not true aromatherapy, so synthetic scents, if you're using those plug-in air fresheners, that's not what I'm talking about. Okay. Those are direct endocrine disruptors They disrupt your immune system, they disrupt your hormonal well-being, and they will disrupt your sleep. Okay. They'll increase the chance of developing headaches, making you feel fatigued, all of that. Okay. I'm talking about true aromatherapy. Okay. Quality aromatherapy. You can put drops in your bath. You can have a diffuser at your bedside. You can make a little spritzer, put it in a little spray bottle with some distilled water and aromatherapy. And aromatherapy can be very potent. If you're looking for specific aromatherapy that can be helpful with sleep, lavender is the most well known. You can also just do a couple drops on your pillowcase before bed. But the other ones would be vanilla, rose, geranium, sandalwood, and bergamot. You can even do a little mixture. Like for me, I love rose, vanilla, and bergamot all together with a little bit of sandalwood. Oh my God, it smells so good. I love it. And so that might be something to do even with your children at night as part of the bedtime routine. Put a couple drops of aromatherapy on the inside of your wrist, rub your wrists together, take 3 deep inhalations. Let me say that again. 3 deep inhalations. Right? Even just that pause of a nice deep breath as part of your evening routine, starting to slow down your actual movements, the pace at which you talk, and then bringing in aromatherapy, it all can be valuable for your sleep routine. Okay. The last 2 things that I cannot miss would be adrenal support and anything else around hormones. So once again, this is so important. If you're having frequent waking, if hot flashes are waking you, if you're having that 2 to 4 a.m. wake up where your mind is buzzing, but your body's exhausted, it likely is because your adrenals are tired. So either your blood sugars didn't stay steady throughout the whole day, or your adrenals are like, tired. You're having a burst of cortisol. It's waking you even though your body feels tired. If you look at the day that you spent leading up to that for your adrenals, did you drink your adaptogen elixirs? Did you practice some type of mindfulness? Did you get outside and have some time in nature and have some fresh air? Did you pay attention to limiting your eyes' exposure to blue light in the afternoon and definitely into the evening hours? Did you set boundaries and make sure that you said no? Okay. If we're going to be working at the computer for a long time, can you do a sprint for an hour or 50 minutes and then take a 10-minute break? Go move your body. Did you exercise enough and in the right way? Meaning, if you're in your ovulatory time, okay, go do a big exercise, do your HIIT, do your marathon, run a big uphill hike. But if you are in your fall or your winter time, meaning your PMS or your bleeding time, not the right exercise. Okay. If you wake up and your adrenals are shot and you wake up and first thing you go for a run or you do big weights, the body's kind of saying, okay, where's the lion? Why are we running? It's sending your adrenals right into hyperdrive. And then that next night, you wake up between 2 to 4 a.m. buzzing. Okay. It's a sign that maybe you did too much, set too many goals, sat at the computer for too long, pushed yourself too hard, didn't allow for laughter and playfulness. Okay. Laughter is phenomenal at decreasing cortisol. I'm trying to remember the stat. I think if I remember correctly, I wish I had this. Laughing for as little as 30 seconds can decrease cortisol by 60%. I think that's it. It's whatever it is, it's potent. Sometimes when I've been a keynote speaker, I've been on stage, I'll have everybody laugh together. It's so refreshing. Okay. So our adrenal well-being is impacting our thyroid and it's impacting our sleep. So what happens then is over time, if you don't listen in and your adrenals are tired, I've done so many episodes on this. Just go back through the Women's Vibrancy Code podcast. The adrenals are tired for too long. Then the thyroid crashes. So now the thyroid is impacting sleep in an even bigger way. Okay. Now talking hormones specifically, I mentioned estrogen. You're drinking that alcohol before bed, spiking the estrogen as much as 30% spike in estrogen with 1 glass of wine. If you're having hot flashes, okay, that's often a reduction in estrogen. Maybe it's spiked and then it's crashed. Okay. There's a lot of ways that we can address your sleep talking about hormones. Okay. So cortisol being one, that's the one from the adrenals. Estrogen level being another one. We want to try to keep it more steady. And so depending on if you're struggling with estrogen dominance or low estrogen, I encourage you to listen to other podcasts. I encourage you to reach out to me. If you want to come into my space, we can get your Dutch Plus test and we can look at what are you struggling with and really support you from a nutritional and supplementation perspective to help that estrogen level get nice and healthy. Another one would be progesterone. If you're ovulating less often, ovulation is considered the main event. Ovulation is what triggers the production of progesterone. Progesterone helps us sleep. So for some women, even just adding some supplementation or bioidentical progesterone that's going to help bring in that progesterone during your PMS week and your bleeding time at night before bed can be a game changer. Ironically, when we sleep, we're also producing progesterone as well as testosterone. So now it can help us sleep. And then when we're sleeping, it's helping us to produce more healthy amounts as well. And then progesterone is also going to help that overall feeling of calm, kind of unwind the nervous system. I've mentioned adenosine already. I'm not going to talk much more about that. I've talked about it a lot in this episode as well as the last one on sleep. And then I've talked about the serotonin, melatonin conversation, right? So these are all hormones that I think are going to directly impact our sleep. When it comes to thyroid, whether it's a sluggish thyroid or a hyperthyroid, in either scenario, it can definitely impact your sleep as well as your energy level. And it's all tied together. Okay. So with that, I just want to say thank you for listening in. I am going to do one more episode talking about lifestyle choices. So the first one was, why do we want more sleep? How is it impacting? Okay. Part 2 is getting into diet modification and supplementation and some things that we can start doing to really start getting to the cause and help addressing sleep. The next part is going to be what lifestyle changes can we make, such as really honing in on bedtime routine, really honing in on light therapy, whether it's blue light or infrared red light, a little bit more details around what temperature do you want your bedroom to be, a little bit more around body movement. Let's talk about Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and cell phones, gratitude. And then I can also talk about social jet lag. And I'll talk a little bit more specifically about what labs to ask for. And if you wanted to come into my space and allow me to help support you sleep better, as I do the same for myself. Listen, I'll be honest, there are definitely nights specifically during my PMS week, my fall, from a seasonal standpoint, if you know what I'm talking about and you've listened to my other episodes. There are definitely nights where, I'm waking up at 3:00 and I'm super creative. Sometimes I just allow myself to be in that creative space and work. Other times I know it's not going to serve me. And whatever the cause, I go, all right, did I keep my blood sugar steady? Did I set good boundaries? Did I do all of these things for the last 24 to 48 hours that I know will positively impact me making sure that I get good sleep? So with that, hopefully you've enjoyed this. Hopefully you've got some great nuggets. I'm seeing in the Facebook group, I get fatigued and tired. Yeah. And I love to learn too. I was a preschool teacher. We all love to learn. At least I love to learn. And then the big piece is learn this and then apply it. Start putting it into action and then go teach it so that I can have the ripple effect that I would like to have out in the world and allow you to go out in the world and impact other ambitious women, our children, our men in your lives, coworkers, whatever it may be, because we all deserve to have great quality sleep. Thanks for listening to the show today. I know you have lots of choices and live a very productive life, as we all do. I appreciate that you've allowed me to dive deep in your journey of feeling turned on by your life, your lover, and yourself. I trust you learned something, expanded your self-reflection, and you're grateful we shared this time together. Connect with me at www.thewomensvibrancycode.com or on all social media platforms and YouTube by searching for Maraya Brown, Maraya Brown. Lastly, if you've found value in what we chatted about in this episode, please consider leaving me a rating and review on your podcast platform of choice. It helps others discover the podcast and get a feeling for the wonderful community we've all created together. As for now, I'm Maraya Brown, and you've been listening to the Women's Vibrancy Code.